I saw this fantastic documentary, Vendetta, Truth, Lies and the Mafia, on Netflix. Playing in Sicily, the island in the south of Italy, and not far from Egypt and its pharaohs. Therefore, the very powerful kingdom of the two Sicilies, for whom the Mafia are their mercenaries in order to hold the people squeezed into the bench vice, with on one side the Mafia Templars and on the other side the Freemason nobility authorities. Which gets so visible seeing this documentary about the brave Sicilian Pino Maniaci and his small personal telegiato radio fighting for the Sicilian people against this terrible enemy called the Mafia. In fact, in Italian, the name Maniaci, it means the maniac. Well, he sort of is, I suppose, in a good way. And as he, Pino Maniaci, had such a tremendous success fighting the Sicilian Mafia, in spite of the immense dangers for him, for his family, his pets, and his belongings, the equally aristocratic authorities, in the name of Judge Silvana Saguto, came to help the Mafia and started to attack the good man, so he couldn't work anymore, as he had to defend himself from the aristocratic Mafia of the Italian Justice Department in the name of Judge Silvana Saguto. Silvana Saguto has written high nobility all over her face, and showing it by the way she clothes herself and gives secret symbols through her necklaces and other. Look here. Here's got the seal of Solomon, a king, a jaywalker king, a pharaoh. Here's a lot of circles for the compass, and here are the squares, so it's saying square and compass all over, with a lot of circles here. There are 3 big ones for the concept of 3 and 1 small, so for the concept of 4. This is like a swastika, which comes from the pharaohs, which I explain in my videos. Here in her living room probably you see the symbol of the French Republic, the New World Order, the Arc de Triomphe. Arc, it comes from Arcos, meaning to rule, and it's got all these classic buildings, Greek, Roman buildings out of Pharaoh. I mean look at her. This is the nobility. So here you can see the crest or coat of arms of the kingdom of the two Sicilies, and here this is the upper degrees of the Scottish Rite. They have this symbol, the 28th, 29th, 30th until 33. They have this symbol for their degree. Here you see a square, yeah. Here's a circle. It says square and compass. A lot of Templar crosses here, and so this is the house of Bourbon and the two Sicilies. Yeah, the house of Bourbon, two Sicilies. So she, the Judge Silvana Saguto, is most likely from the extremely powerful royal house of Bourbon and the two Sicilies, and in order for Pharaoh's nobility to parasite on the people, she used the Mafia as a pretext to issue the very controversial so-called preventive measures based upon the lie to confiscate Mafia belongings and freeze their bank accounts. But instead, the nobility authorities started to pillage honest, hard-working Italians and confiscate their life's work straight into the hands of Italy's nobility through a complex nepotist Freemason network of all the initiated working in the Palermo Justice Department. So here you see the logo of the Anti-Mafia Police, Direzione Investigativa Anti-Mafia. So it starts with a D, which you can find here. That this is supposed to be a D, would you say so? The I is here, or maybe. And here the A is here. But why do it in this way? I mean, who can recognize there's a DIA except them? Well, here's the square. This is exactly 90 degrees. Okay. The whole thing is in a circle for the compass, and this is the square. So they see it immediately. It says square and compass. And then the A, it looks also like the compass, you know, it's 60 degrees probably. And here is a pentagram, like the Pentagon, you know, it's always, you know, getting to the same stuff. That's why the Pentagon is, you know, it's like in a pentagram. And behind it, you can hardly see it, is the Lions Club Rotary symbol of these Freemasons always giving, you know, so-called, you know, philanthropists, you know, helping some schools for children, you know, so they have a better access on them. And the whole thing here is in a oval, like the Oval Office. And it says Vis Unita Fortior. It means together we are stronger, or something like this, which is typical Templar stuff, you know, like uno pro omnibus, omnes pro uno, one for all for one, or the Trump said it as well. So he's saying exactly the same. Yeah, in the Oval Office here, he said the same thing, like vis unita fortior, like where we go one, we go all. Same thing. And this is sort of light blue, and then here behind it is white. Now, why do they have to accentuate the V all of a sudden by having another color on the other side, so they all see it? Oh, because this is the Templar V, like the V for victory, you know, like Churchill did it, you know, the child murderer who helped murdering 23,000 children in South Africa. This is probably Acacia, or this one here. Here it says Repubblica Italiana. Even in the flag is the concept of three, because that's them. It's the nobility. And this is us, you know, the concept of four, the gap in between all this. And they can rape us, you know. That's what it probably all means. And even this state corruption got all figured out by this smart Pino Maniaci and his very popular Telegiato radio, literally raided by the Sicilians seeking for help, being taken hostage in between the Templars Mafia and the nobility authorities. Only not even the Sicilians know who the Mafia actually really are and where they originally come from. So on top here, there's the boss, called the Don, like Don Corleone, you know, the famous one. The word Don, also like in Spanish, Don Quixote, it comes from the Hebrew word Adonai. But, of course, it's the pharaonic branch, like King Solomon. Also a Don, of course, an Adonai, or a king. The Lord. Don, it means like a lord, like the Freemasons in a in a way talking bad about Christ, they call him Adonai as well. So then they got the consigliere or consiglieri in Italian. It's like in a chess game, like the bishop, and the underboss, the capo, the soldiers, and here you got the associates. And above this there's even more, which I will tell you in a minute. So you got the family links here. These are the family links. And you got the indirect links like these ones here. Even a consigliere. And for the Crusaders and their Templar masters on the way to Jerusalem, Sicily became the most important bridgehead for the Knights Templars, with commanderies all over this huge island in the Mediterranean, in between Europe and Jerusalem, like the Sicilian Templar commanderies of Saint Nicholas or San Niccolò del Tempio in Italian, in Bulgarano near Scordia in Catania province, the Templar Church of Saint Mary Carmina or Chiesa del Carmine in Italian, in Piazza Armerina, the Templar commanderies of Caltagirone, Trapani, Siracusa, Butera, and Lentini. So here you can see it here. Ardana, Maltane, Caltagirone, Piazza, Aidone, Muro, Paterno, Messina, Magrentino, San Leonardo, Bulgarano, Pantalica, all Templar commanderies, and there are many more. I think this one here is there are also many commanderies of the Teutonic Knights, and here, exactly here, in Cafalù, Alistair Crowley, he had his temple here, and exactly here was a commandery of the Teutonic Knights. I will tell you more about it later. And of course, Alistair Crowley, he spent all his time, a lot of time in Germany and in Switzerland, you know, where the Teutonic Knights actually came from. The most important Sicilian Templar commanderies of Messina, Marsala, and Trapani served the order as a major stopover for crusaders and pilgrims en route to the Holy Land by sea. Now this here is the crest of Sicily. Kind of weird, eh? Anyway, there are 3 legs, so it's the concept of 3, which is them, our masters. And each one of these is like 60 degrees for the compass. And so it's in French, so I could only find it in French. There's a lot of stuff, you know, you can only find either in German or in French, and it's not in Italian, English. So here's some more Templar commanderies. Établissement in Aidone, Ardane, Maltane, Bulgarano, Caltagirone, Magrentino, Siracusa. These are the towns next to it. So this Magrentino is next to Siracusa. There you go. And Caltagirone is here next to Piazza. Bulgarano is next to Scordia. Ardane is next to Butera. Aidone. And there we go. The commandery of Messina is in Messina. In Muro it's here and here. The one in Patalica is here. And this one is here. And this one, Paterno, is in Paterno. And yeah, Piazza Armerina, sorry. And here Francofonte, Lentini. And here was this picture here. So, you know, I would not be surprised at all when the Mafia families are centered in towns around these Templar commanderies. So maybe some Sicilian or Italian can confirm me this. So maybe Pino Maniaci or a friend of his can find this out for me, because it's very, very important. Because it's all one and the same thing. Nobility, mafia, authorities, and the Aleister Crowley, satanic stuff, nobility, pharaohs, it's all the same stuff, people. Armies, police, it's all the same stuff. So it's very important somebody find it out for me. Where exactly are the big mafia towns? Nowhere else in the entire world you find so many mafiosi mobsters as in Sicily, the birthplace of the Mafia. And nowhere else in the entire world you find such a density on Knights Templar commanderies. And both are multinationals making a lot of money. Both are military organized with a strict hierarchy. Both work in secret, in the dark, with a code of silence, the OmerTa. Both kill people without remorse, and both pretend to believe in Jesus Christ. You think this is just a coincidence without any connection between the Templar mobsters and the Mafia mobsters, or did it never even cross your mind at all? So here you see the Teutonic Knight. Here it says, kommt zu Reihen und Burgen des Deutschen Ordens, circa 1300. So here is Sicily, and this Teutonic Knight's commandery is at Cefalù, where Aleister Crowley had his the temple of Thelema, doing his very bad things. And this is the typical, the Baltic, where the Teutonic Knights, where they had another 200 years of crusades after the crusades, starting in 1291, when they founded Switzerland here. This is the same as the Templars, only the Templars started about here in France, where the dot is. They got kicked out of France, they went to Switzerland, they changed the language, and then they went here. And this is also where the president of Russia, Putin, where he's from St. Petersburg, somewhere here. And this is why he speaks German, eh? And you know, like Russia today, that's for the German people. That's the only honest TV, you know, mainstream media. That's the only honest one for them. The rest is the Lügenpresse. Well, it has all to do with the Teutonic Knights, you know. And they were here. So you see, on the left side of the island, Teutonic Knights here. On the east side, as I've shown you before, Templars. You know, and then here's Jerusalem. But they went straight here over where there's another Templar commandery, which I'm going to show you right now. So they went here. They came from Northern Europe, the Crusaders, and then here. They went straight here and on horseback, or they walked to Jerusalem, and most of all Egypt, of course, to get the Templars' treasure out of the pyramids. Here you see, here's the Kingdom of Sicily, here's Malta, the Maltese Knights, the Maltese Order, and here's Tripoli. Now in Libya, they are the territories of the Knights Hospitallers here. And before that, because you know the Knights Templars, they went over into the Hospitallers when they got forbidden. So here was a Templars commandery. So they went from here to here, and then they went to Jerusalem, and saying, "Hallelujah, we killed another 10,000 people." Why do you think Aleister Crowley, the big royal Satanist pinklist killer, felt so safe in Sicily, huh? A place where the rest of the world wouldn't feel safe at all. Where in Cefalù, Sicily, he even sacrificed his own child, called Poupée. He had, together with the Swiss Lea Hirschig, in his satanic temple of Thelema, with many children disappearing all over Sicily every time he visited Sicily and the temple. Crowley and the Swiss Hirsig, a typical Swiss surname, had a child together whom they called Poupée, meaning a doll in French, whom they sacrificed in their Sicilian temple before she even got 1 year old. Of course, Crowley spent a lot of time in Switzerland, the land of Tsar, and base of it all, which you can read here. So, here it says, she was a Swiss American. No, well, she was Swiss. She was, look, she was born in Switzerland, in Traxelwald, the canton of Bern, the same area where I was in, and I tell you, this is evil. It's evil all over in Switzerland. So she was born in Switzerland, and then she moved to the United States when she was 2 years old. Yeah, okay. Of course, together with her parents, taking it all the evil with her from Swaziland. Yeah, this is in Cefalù. There it is. The Abbey of Thelema. It says, in a small house which was used as a temple and spiritual center founded by Aleister Crowley and Leah Hirsig in Cefalù. So this is, the Swiss, they just emigrate to the United States. They bring their evil with them, and then they take over they take over America. They go to all key positions, and yeah, here it says, with Crowley, Leah had a daughter whom they named Analia Poupée, the surname Poupée, Crowley, and she was born on January 26, 1920 in Fontainebleau. That's where the French kings lived, Fontainebleau. It's very, the elite is there, It's probably the Swiss. She took him there. So I'd say, it's not Aleister Crowley, the big Satanist, it's the Swiss behind it. This one here, the Hirsig woman. And she died in 1975 in Switzerland, the age 91. This is the real powers behind it, and then they just accentuate it on somebody else. It's also the canton of Bern, Swaziland, next to Interlaken, also where a lot of Americans are going, tourists, a lot of Japs, a lot of Russians. Leah Hirsig, Swiss American, Swiss Americans are Americans of Swiss descent, and as I already told you, there are 1 million in the US. 1 million people, and they rule the US, with presidents like Obama, like Herbert Hoover, the director of the CIA, J. Edgar Hoover, of Swiss name Hoover. They rule the US, no doubt. So this here is Cefalù in Italy, where Aleister Crowley and the Swiss Hirsig, Leah Hirsig, where they had the temple where they sacrificed people. A lot of people died there. So, and I wonder if some Italians can tell me, or some Sicilians, if this is a stronghold here of the Mafia, Cefalù. I know, which I've shown you just before, that the Teutonic Knights, they had a commandery there. And the Teutonic Knights are the German-speaking Templars. They come out of the Templars when the Templars disappeared. You see, they got in their coat of arms, they got a crown in there. The concept of three with a circle, which is also the concept of three, which is them. The concept of three is them here, the crown. It's the same. So, if you want to read it, but there's nothing in it. So here's Cefalù. I just showed that to you before. That's where you had the Thelema temple killing a lot of people. So, I mean, nobody would feel safe, especially in those days, in Sicily. But this guy felt very safe, you know. So that means, you know, he was part of it all, you know. I mean, it's again the Swiss connection. It's every time Switzerland. Okay? Well, the Mafia, they put their money on a Swiss bank, you know. It's their head office of the Knights Templars and all the banks. They come out of the Templars. They invented banking, you know. They founded the banks. So of course, you know, with this Swiss connection, you know, you could feel safe there. And I tell you once again, it's not Aleister Crowley, the big man behind all the Satanist things, you know. Not at all. It's the Swiss, it's Lea Herzig, the canton of Bern, where I lived as well, which is extremely evil. Especially if you go in the countryside. Oh man, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. It's in the air, you know. You can feel it the way they look at you, you know. You feel the eyes piercing in your back, you know. Especially if the moment they know you. Aleister Crowley's life developed quite normal. Going to school, college and university until at only the age of 19 and still being a teenager, he went mountaineering in the Bernese Alps in Swaziland, ascending the famous Eiger, Mönch and Jungfrau, being a young sportsman. From there on, things went wrong, meeting the wrong people in Swaziland, as the Swiss Lea Herzig from Bernese region, where the evil Swiss initiated him in this Egyptian wizard stuff. They tried that with me too, when infiltrating the Octagon, but I refused and had to pay dearly for refusing the beast, the Swiss beast. There you see, Aleister Crowley, he was born 1875, and in 1894, which you'll see in a minute, he went mountaineering in Swaziland. So I show that to you now here. Here it is about the Abbey of Thelema, and his youth there. And yeah, in 1894 he went to the Bernese Alps, yeah, and he climbed the Eiger, Trift, Jungfrau, Mönch, Wetterhorn. I mean, that's quite an endeavor, you know. Look at that, climbing up here. So this guy was a good sportsman. He was on the good way, you know, until he went to Swaziland here. And a couple of years later, now we're in 1898, Crowley was in Zermatt in Switzerland. And so 1898, then he was 23 only. He's spending a lot of time in Swaziland. That's the Boleskine house. So, oh, there he is in the K2 expedition. I mean, this guy was a sportsman, you know, tough guy. Everything went haywire when he went to Switzerland, meeting the wrong people. Look, he's completely sunburned. The Swiss took another young man's life, eh? As many. Well, okay, there's a lot more here. I wanted to show you this here. You can read it all yourself. And what I'm going to show here, this is during the Hitler time. Look, this is from 1930 to 1938. So in April 1930, Crowley moved to Berlin. In the Nazi time, Adolf Hitler. And he also knew, look here, Hamilton. Well, we know those, right? The Duke of Hamilton, Order of the Garter, or the Scottish version of it. And so here, the Second World War. Ian Fleming, he was also living in Berlin. And at a certain moment, all three of them, they were studying at least Ian Fleming and the Prince Bernhard of the German SS Prince of the House of Orange. They were all living in Lausanne with Ian Fleming and the Prince. They were studying, and Aleister Crowley coming there all the time. They all know each other, you know. And Ian Fleming, well, he knew Alan Dulles of the OSS. You know, it's all one bunch, and it's all together with the Mafia, Sicily, Swaziland. It's all one thing. The aristocracy, Pharaoh, Thelema. You look, this whole satanic belief system. It's all based on ancient Egypt. And just as my code name was le relayeur in French, or the connector in English, something or someone mysteriously burned down Crowley's Boleskine house the very day I was liberated from the evil Swiss grip on winter solstice 2015. I was safe, and the intel towards their downfall could commence. It's all connected somehow. Simple Italians or Sicilians have a thing called our thing, or cosa nostra in Italian, meaning a thing or their thing, holding them together under a secret oath of loyalty and secrecy in some sort of an order or a fraternity. Cosa nostra is in fact related to the typical Templar structures built in a strict internal hierarchy, and their belief, or their thing, to establish the new horizontal rule aristocratic system of the Republic. A thrive and pursuit they called our thing, or cosa nostra. Templars are very identical to the Mafia, and both are ice-cold killers in a brotherhood, backstabbers, multinationals, money makers, drug dealers, thieves, rapists, and a huge enemy to the people. The Mafia is for Southern Europe, what Switzerland is for Northern Europe, with their Swiss octagon, Swiss mercenaries, and Swiss banks. And of course, the Mafia, just as any other criminal, use the Swiss banks to hoard and stash their money. Italians, and even the Sicilians, do not have a single clue who the Mafia really are, where they actually come from, and why the Mafia gets protected by the Italian authorities. You see the red rose here in the picture? Well, that stands for the nobility, and Pharaoh's Pertasser, red house of Pharaoh. In fact, at a certain moment, the Knights Templars had an additional secret code by the abbreviation M.A.F.I.A, in Latin for Anima Fidelem Ius Aryan, in Latin meaning my soul loyal to the Aryan law, which was their thing, or cosa nostra, for our thing. And Aryan means in fact aristocratic, the superior Aryan or aristocratic race, who are together with the Swiss the instigators of World War II, which I explain in my video here, the Nobility World Wars. Aryan means noble or highborn, nobility. They migrated from Central Asia. They drove horse-drawn chariots that helped them gain power. Well, this sounds very much like the Hyksos, who came from Central Asia, and they had horse-drawn chariots, and they took over ancient Egypt for a while and probably infiltrated it forever with their brachycephalic skull forms. So both Aryan and aristocracy, Aryan and aristocracy, come etymologically out of the Pharaonic A Ri, meaning born out of the sun, as in Amun-Ra, the sun god of ancient Egypt, where they all come from. Here you can see Aryan. It also means king or a nobleman, noble, nobility, aristocracy, and which I explain, giving all the proofs in the 18-hour pentalogy, so it's in Swiss in 5 parts, called The Swiss Beast, Home of the Devil. Also here translated into Spanish by my Mexican revolutionary friends, and supposedly understandable for Italian speakers, like the Sicilians with Pino Maniaci. So here it is in Spanish: La Bestia Suiza, La Casa del Mal, Parte Uno. So, and you see, this is the channel name, Re y desprograma y reaprende. And you see, what's here, no puedo subir nuevo video hasta el 14 de marzo 2022. So you can see here, the Mexicans are getting attacked by the Swiss because the Swiss don't want you to see this video and to get this information. So, dear Sicilian people and Italians, please download them very quickly. It's my and our present for humanity. I wish some other peoples could do the same, like Germans and French, translate it. And here you can see the original title in this channel here. It's called Homeland Security. I was still a child when I got taught all this by my very traditional family of French descent in South Africa. So I don't remember if it was Fidelis or Fidelem and Ius or Giureh in the word Mafia, M.A.F.I.A. But you just never forget Anima Fidelem Aryan, or soul, loyal, nobility, the main words of the secret oath related to the initials of the word Mafia, which withholds, in fact, a secret oath. The word Mafia is, in fact, the oath of this secret order, doing the dirty work for the Knights Templars and the nobility. An oath punished with death, torture, or your children and offspring killed when one breaks the oath of silence and loyalty, also called the OmerTa, where the word OmerTa, which you can see here, together with the typical Freemason handshake, who use the OmerTa too, because the OmerTa comes from one of the 9 founding fathers of the secret order of the Knights Templars, by the name of Godefroy de Saint Omer, Godfrey of Saint Omer, OmerTa, the laws of silence. So he's also called Godefroy, as I just told you before, Godfrey in English, and sometimes even Geoffrey, like the name Jeffrey, right? And he was one of the 9 founding fathers of the Knights Templars, together with this one here, Hugues de Payen, or Hugues de Pin, Bernard de Clairvaux. I went filming the monastery for you, the Cistercian monastery, and remember when they almost got me at this Templar commandery with that horrible statue, when there were 9 heads, white heads in the forest, referring to the 9 original Knights Templars. So this guy, he is probably, together with this one here, Hugues de Payen or Hugues de Pin, one of the most important guys, of the Knights Templars. So the laws of silence, the OmerTa, Saint Omer, they made it up. They made these laws. So Godefroy de Saint Omer, OmerTa, it's all related, and it comes from the Knights Templars. Mer in the Demotic Pharaonic means the pyramid, and the O used to be an A, standing for big or pregnant, almost as in the word America, America, which I explain in my video, The Pharaoh Show. In this case, it means pregnant pyramid, for getting born in the pyramid, like Napoleon getting reborn in the big pyramid of Gizeh, and many others who got initiated there. So Saint Omer, like in Godefroy de Saint Omer, one of the 9 founders of the Knights Templars, Saint Omer, it means the holy birth-giving pyramid. Ta in OmerTa, it means land. So OmerTa for A-mer-ta means born in the lands of the pyramids, or we were born in the lands of the pyramids. And Saint Omer, like in Godefroy de Saint Omer, Saint Omer, it means we come out of the land of the holy pyramids. I made this video here on my channel Gatsevrats many years ago. The words are in German, like before saying schwanger in German, meaning pregnant. But these are just a few of the demotic words. So I don't have my books anymore. Neither do I have this one here, because I only have my backpack, you know. And okay, this was interesting about America. You see, you know, America, it means pyramid, sun, soul, energy. I explained it in my video. The Pharaoh Show. Here it says The Pharaoh Show and others. There's neither an Italian nor a Sicilian word called OmerTa. I knew more of this family heritage I got, but I forgot it over the drag of time, as I was still very young at the time. It was supposed to be repeated in adulthood, but due to political turmoil, I had to leave South Africa before and got expelled from my family. So, Mafia is the oath, and OmerTa, to whom the oath was directed to. Like, I swear on the head of Saint Omer. And you can see here the red rose of the nobility, of the red pertasser of Pharaoh, and here in red and white Templars colors. It's one and the same thing. The authorities, the Knights Templars, the Mafia, the government, police, the CIA, the FBI, it's all one and the same thing. The Nazis, the Freemasons, it all has the same source, and they all work together against humanity. In English, his name is Godfrey of Saint Omer, and he was one of the initial 2 men on one horse, together with Hugues de Payens, or also called Hugues de Pin. In the north of France, near Calais, there's still the town of Saint Omer, where he was born in 1075, and here you can see his coat of arms. So here's Saint Omer, it's and here's the coat of arms of the town and of the founding father of the Knights Templars. And here it is. Here's Saint Omer, here's Dover, and here's Calais. You can read it. Well, there's nothing. It's not much to read, I think. The most important things, they're not in it. Yeah. So, okay. So you remember this coat of arms very well now. Look how it looks and print it in your mind. So here again, the coat of arms, the same as in the town of Saint Omer, near England. And so he was from the nobility, you know. Geoffroy de Saint Omer. De, the prefix de, it means he's of the nobility. The founder of the Order of the Temple. So this is in French, so everyone who speaks French, you can try to read it. It's quite interesting. And otherwise, well, you just look at the pictures, eh? And so I was looking for there's another picture. This is Saint Omer. And here in the town, it's where the Templars were, where the arrow is. Oh look, Saint Omer is a star fort. Can you see this? It's a star fort. Oh, what do you know? And here are the Templars situated. I guess England is here. And there it is, the symbol here. Here, this is a temple in Saint Omer, probably. There it is. I think it was the coat of arms of the guy. So look again. Look very good at the image here, because I'm going to show it to you in a minute. Again, somewhere else. So if you want to read it, just punch pause. Now the Templar dude in the church. It's probably him. So, and this is where the word OmerTa it comes from. You know, total loyalty to the founding fathers of the Knights Templars. Here, the two guys on one horse. One of them is Giureh de Saint Omer. The other one is probably Hugues de Pin or Hugues de Payen. It's been used in both ways. Well, here it's again Hugues de Payen. Here they say Hugues de Pin. See, that's they use it in different ways. You know. Of course, you know, some people wrote in the Middle Ages. Some people wrote it this way. The others they wrote something this way, and the Saint Omer crest is the same as the flag here of the two crossed arms pharaohs Ursula von der Leyen and Zuzana Kaputova, which you can see in this video here. So this is the flag of Slovakia, and you can ask yourself, why do they have this Templars, double Templars, or Hospitaller cross if you'd like, and the crest of Godefroy de Saint Omer, where the word OmerTa is coming from? Why do they have it in their flag? You know, it's again the pharaonic OmerTa, the laws of silence. They're not going to tell you, won't they now? OmerTa. So it's in this channel here, and it's this video here. There it is again, Zuzana Chaputova or Kaputova, the president of the Slovak Republic. Now, why do they have the crest of Saint Omer with their OmerTa in the flag of Slovakia? Huh? And as it is so important, as for the ones who haven't seen this yet, I show you the crossed-armed ladies once again here. This is Chaputova with the crest of Saint Omer, the Templar, and here Ursula von der Leyen of the German high nobility. And so her crest, it means, you know, like Saint Omer-Ta, it means we come out of the land of the holy pyramids, and this is exactly what they're showing. And again, for the ones who haven't seen it yet, I show it in this video here on the same channel. Sarko Soul Sucker from Swit Sar land, the land of Sar, and it's all related. We've been ruled by the pharaohs for 2,000 years, people. The global Mafia is a Templar branch, and therefore in South America there are the drug lords of the cartels who call themselves Los Templarios, which is Spanish, and it means the Templar, the Templars. So here you can see a Templar's cross, and just as they were in America, the Newport castle or whatever it was, of course they were also in Mexico. Maybe someone can look it up. I guess this is the region here. Yeah, the state of Michoacán. Yeah. And let's be honest. simple Mexicans could never be that highly organized as the Latino drug cartels are. Only Pharaoh's nobility can do this, not the people. And in fact, in Latin America, the drug cartels are led by the Spanish nobility and the Templarios, who have settled their internal wars now since 1945 for 100%, all working together against humanity, both Templar Republicans and feudal royalists, in today's battle of the mind, killing our youth with their drugs and protected by their police, who all come out of the octagon and full of Freemasons, like here the Order of the Garter and King Felipe of Spain. So here you see a lot of octagons on his breast, and this is the Order of the Garter with On y soit qui mal y pense, and here as well. See my video about that. And this is the cross of St. George, like from the Georgia Guidestones. See my film Octagon, the Empire of Darkness, on my channel GRACIAS, which you can see here. Same thing in Russia, where the Russian Mafia have an octagon for symbol, which they tattoo on their backs and knees, or wear in gold chains, or here in wood. As I met some Russian mobsters from Georgia, so the land of Georgia, and they were driving in big black limousines with German number plates, while I was hitchhiking in France, which you can see in this video here on the same channel. Here it says the title: Members of Russian Mafia Octagon of the Knights Templars for Vorizagonia. This is Russian here, Vorizagonia, that's the name of them. I spoke German with them, and they apparently stopped to see the huge octagon symbol in stone on the floor, which you can see in the video. They were very surprised when I told them that the Vorizagonia, the name for the Russian Mafia, is all infiltrated and taken over by the nobility. Yes, he said, how do you know? Look, this Russian mobster of the Vorizagonia, here you see the Russian letters, the Cyrillic. He even has a Templar's cross with a square in it, like the Ku Klux Klan also have a square in the middle like this, like, you know, the corner down, because they know exactly where they come from, and so does the Italian Mafia. They know it, people. That's why he has here Gott mit uns. That's what the Nazis had, or all the Germans actually, on their belt, which means God with us. So this guy has it here. I mean, he's Russian, and the Nazis, they killed like 30 million Russians and their children, you know. So why would a Russian have it? Because he's of an organization by the Knights Templars, you know. So here you see the Templars, and here you see the Nazis, the Nazi Templars. And even the spider's web here is octagonal. They know it, you know. It's all one thing, you know. The authorities, the Mafia, the Justice Department, the politicians, the media, it's all one dirty, lying bunch. All these mobsters, they're just like the police. They come with many, and they act masculine, and they think they're strong against one, you know, just like the police, because it's the same organization. It all comes out of the Knights Templars. The police have a lot of octagon badges, and so does the Russian Mafia. And they all carry Jesus, like the Templars, like the Italian Mafia, the Cosa Nostra, the Russian Mafia. You see here the Russian Cyrillic letters. It's the same people. The police are the legal Mafia, and this is the illegal Mafia. And they're cowards. They're a menace to humanity. We should get rid of them now. And also, therefore, in the Pino Maniaci film, one can see in part 5 the Italian policeman Carabinieri Maggiore, or Major Marco De Chirico, and aristocratic name, of the Italian nobility, with a octagon badge at the Pino Maniaci court case to announce his allegiance to all the initiated ones and all conspiring against the brave Sicilian radio man Pino Maniaci of Deleggiato. They always leave a sign or a symbol somewhere so they recognize each other, because they think we are stupid. And in fact, we are stupid. Very stupid. So watch my video, Octagon, the Empire of Darkness, if you want to understand this octagon here. This is from 1992, the Sicilian judge Giovanni Falcone, the Falcon. It's already quite suspicious, the Falcon. He was born in 1939 in the Kingdom of Italy. I already showed you that before, the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies. Well, you can read the whole story yourself. So, but what is important? So, Antonio Ingroia, who was a friend of this guy, so I'm talking to him. Antonio Ingroia, I need to tell you that your friend and mentor, Judge Giovanni Falcone, was not killed by the Mafia in 1992, as the hit was far too professional for the Mafia. Only Octagon could have done this, and the Templar Octagon, whom I infiltrated in Schaffhausen, Switzerland, is also the top organization giving the orders to Gladio and the Bologna bombings. Normally, for executions and operations in Italy, the Octagon has a team come over from another country for the, so to speak, OmerTa, and quite applicable in this case, in order to keep the lid on and seal the lips. And I know for sure that in the Falcone execution in 1992, the British increment has been used, just as in the Lady Diana elimination 5 years later. So I don't know if you remember the Falcone murder in 1992. They drilled a hole in the motorway in Sicily, and so you got a tube, an open tube, you know, going from the motorway to under the bridge, where they stashed a lot of explosive, which they triggered by remote control. Now, in 1992, this is not a thing the Mafia could have done, and they still can't do this, you know. This is the legal Mafia behind it, who protect the Mafia, you know, because it all comes from out of the Knights Templars. Both do, you know. So I'll let you read it yourself. Here's about the UKN. So there are rumors that the increment have been involved in several high-profile events, such as the death of Princess Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed, which is true. I can guarantee that. Here, also in part 5, you can see the corrupt elite judge Silvana Saguto with a pharaonic brooch showing the Egyptian sun hieroglyph, showing her aristocratic allegiance to everyone with eyes for it. Like me, homie Hross, showing many sun hieroglyphs here in this video here, the Pharaoh show. And here, one more time, her pharaonic brooch of the sun hieroglyph. Of course, it's not exactly the sun hieroglyph here, but it does represent it. And you see there's a red square in it and 2 circles. The circle stands for the compass and square is the square, so it does say square and compass. And red, it stands for the nobility, as the Pertasser, the red house of Pharaoh. So she's one of them, and highly criminal. In fact, though it is the typical sun hieroglyph which they show on all buildings, I realized it was in a different form. And when I had a closer look at it, when watching the clip again, I realized that the square brooch had a little opening in it. Wow, incredible. So this means she is showing the pharaonic per or per hieroglyph, meaning a house. So this is the pharaonic hieroglyph of a house, per. Only the brooch of the woman, it's upside down. The opening is here. But that doesn't really matter. And inside it's red. So it says house red, red house. And as the square is red, it says the red house of Lower Egypt. So she's saying to a pharaonic clan and enemy within that she's also from the nobility, and most likely from the house of Bourbon to Sicilies. And here you see the Duke of Castro. So, you know, Fidel Castro from Cuba. So this means there never was any problem with Cuba and the United States of America. They're all the same ruling. They just have the people fight each other. And it was Fidel Castro, you know, from the house of Castro. He betrayed Che Guevara, and you know, because he was too famous amongst the people. He was too popular. And here's the coat of arms. There's a lot of things to recognize in it, you know, fleur de lis. Oh, this looks like Catalonia. Lions. Oh, look here. St. George. There he is again. The killer. Like the St. George guidestones. That's where it comes from. And Templar crosses. Well, it's full of it, eh? And this symbol you got above the 28th degree in Freemasonry, Scottish Rite. You got this symbol here, which is a very interesting fact. As she's in danger and facing more than 10 years in prison for corruption and nepotism, she is desperate and begs for help, thus showing the ones in power that she is also from Pharaoh's Per-Tasser, Red House of Egypt, who became Europe's nobility. Of course, the original hieroglyph of the sun is a circle with a dot in it, and the one depicted on the buildings by a circle and two bars on each side is slightly different, but it does in fact represent the sun hieroglyph thousands of years later in Europe and thousands of miles away from the River Nile. So, and here you see again, like the brooch she was having, and this is the per hieroglyph, meaning a house. The per or per hieroglyph. Even the symbol for download has the Egyptian per or per hieroglyph for house. You download and bring it into your house. So this is another way how these pharaohs, like the corrupt judge Silvana Saguto, they give secret messages to each other. And here you can see her with a necklace with 3 bulls on it for the concept of 3, which is them, the elite, our masters, and we, the people, are the concept of 4 at the base of the pyramid's hierarchy, while the concept of 3 is the triangle or delta, as they prefer to call it, forming the triangular side of the pyramid, all the way leading to the top. She even shows the concept of 3 vertically, as for the vertical rule of a feudal system, and normally, due to gravity, the 3 balls would have surged the lowest point. So this is all deliberate and very meticulously prepared. My house is the house of Sainte Croix Rose Duplessis, with our motto non facit pugnum digito uno in Latin, meaning with one finger only one cannot make a fist. Well, actually, it's not entirely the same motto, as I'm not allowed to use it anymore, and I have to respect that. So I made the motto myself by slightly changing it, but it means the same. And already as a child I got initiated in all this, and I would never have told anyone if not me and my children would have been so heavily terrorized for such a long time by the Swiss octagon. So they left me no other choice than to speak out and open up the lid of Pandora's pharaonic box. Switzerland is the head office of the global Templar Mafia, where they all keep all their money. Also, the Nazis belong to this Templar Mafia, which I've already explained in many videos. So, therefore, it might appear contradictory that in 1943, before the landings by the Allies in Sicily, the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, and predecessor of the CIA, asked the help of the Sicilian Mafia against the Nazis, as in fact the Nazis were and still are in the same global family with the OSS, CIA and the Mafia, who all come out of the Templars and ruled by the Octagon out of Switzerland, where Alan Dulles of the OSS Switzerland, the head of the later CIA, had his headquarters in Bern, Switzerland. Alan Welsh Dulles came out of the very powerful Geneva family Mallet-Prévost from Switzerland, about whom you can see more in this video here on my channel Gatsenfratz. So this video here, Alan Dulles was Swiss family Mallet-Prévost. In fact, in Sicily in 1943, there were no more real Nazis left, but only some expendable German soldiers who were left, who could be eliminated and betrayed by the Mafia, who gave all the German military positions to their pals in the OSS. How else can you explain, with a basic understanding of how things work on this planet, that a criminal organization like the Mafia helps the US military in a military campaign? Where's the catch? What are we missing here? Who's gaining what, and how did the US government know on which random door to knock in rural Sicily? Well, unless they already knew each other, because in fact they belong to the very same organization, who all converge and come together at the top. This is also the reason that drugs from the various mafias around the globe get smuggled in by NATO's various air forces into the various Western countries, with the police doing absolutely nothing, whereas the entire drug trade and drugs consummation in all the cities could easily be stopped within 24 hours. If they would just use all the police in today's streets, who are mobilized to terrorize humanity in Pharaoh's global bog war against humanity, if they would use all these police for only one single day, we could stop the drugs and the consummation of drugs, everything, only for 1 or 2 days. All these police in the streets now. The lie is their biggest weapon, and backed up by their indoctrination media, and with some excellent rhetoric by some brilliant actors, the majority of the dumb slaves believe everything. Therefore, later on in history, both the CIA and the Mafia were involved in the preparation of the assassination of US President John F. Kennedy, which got eventually executed by the British increment, because political assassinations inside the US are always done by the UK increment, and vice versa. Liquidations inside the UK are being done by a special detachment inside the CIA, and the increment finally take their orders from the Swiss Octagon. And what a coincidence again. This is exactly the very same way the Mafia operates. A murder in New York gets done by some salesman or a Catholic priest or some other disguise flown in from Palermo, Sicily. And a murder in Sicily gets done by some innocent-looking American tourist visiting Sicily. Well, how come they work so similar, both in the Mafia and official Western government organizations? Well, because it's one and the same gang called Octagon of the Nazi Templars, and they are based in the Alps. And forget about the Israeli Mossad